Okay, baby.
So, good morning, guys.
Welcome back to the medical podcast. So today, sorry about that.
Okay.
Today we'll be talking about, let's say, our school in terms of our lectures, how our days are like, and labs, all those stuff. So, Nick, be honest with me and tell me, throughout the last 2 years, how many textbooks did you buy?
Probably only one. I'm serious. I did recently buy the Oxford Handbook for Clinical
Yeah, but that's not
Introduction. Yeah, it's not included in our material, but that's just a side thing. But I only really got in the first semester a book.
Which
Biology.
was it AUSoM? How many times did you open it?
Probably like 4 or 5 times during the exam period.
So
That was it really, yeah.
So you're saying that it's not very necessary to have...
No, because there's a difference, by the way, between the Greek and the English program. The Greeks don't pay for their books. They're free. They're included, which makes sense because it's also more difficult for them to even get in the school. But we have to pay for them.
Yeah.
But again, you can find the majority just PDF.
Yeah.
So I don't really see it as worth it as actually going and spending how much, like 60 almost 100 sometimes per book.
For me, I think the only books that I was actually buying were the book for the Greek language. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like for those, I think it's necessary to have.
Yeah, those are very necessary.
But for the rest, the majority of the time you can find it online. But to be honest, I think the majority of us students, we try to study from the slides for the exams. Because our professor would say that most of the thing you could find from the slide. But again, sometimes they might play us. For example, last semester, anatomy. Yeah. So basically something happened, very funny. They say that we could just study the slide and we'll be fine for the exam. But in the end, they took everything from the book and
for example, there weren't supposed to be any questions about lymph nodes or anything like that, and half of the exam was about lymph.
Yeah, so I would say that don't try to buy the book, but when you study, maybe try to open the book a bit. Anyway, how do you feel about the format of our lectures?
It depends, I think, on the lesson. Some lectures such as typology, I think, are very much needed. But things such as microbiology, pathology, I get that they will be needed later on. But the format overall is like, okay, here are all these bacteria. Here's all this fungi. Here's this. Here's that. I am of the philosophy that if you can't use something right after you've learned it, it is not useful.
Okay.
And this is the pattern that we're going through.
Yeah. For me personally, I feel like, our lectures will be like from 45 to 1 hour long, right? And for each subject, we would have like maximum 5 hours per week. And honestly, from the beginning of the semester, like when we are, very motivated and stuff, the lecture seems okay. But towards the end, I do feel like I'm gonna lose motivation, just to go to class. And not to mention that sometimes the pace of the lecture is quite quickly. Like honestly, I don't even have time to really take notes and stuff. And sometimes there's just too much information. But that's, I guess, like everywhere for medicine. So that's not a complaint. Yeah. So honestly, do you feel like it's a bit difficult to focus sometimes in the lecture?
Yeah, I do think it is very difficult, especially like around 12 to 2 that time. You start getting very sleepy. and yeah, you start losing a lot of focus. I guess it depends per student. I see many students in our class that are constantly writing stuff. Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned typology, right? Why don't you tell everyone how our typologies are like? Like, I mean the format, because they don't know.
Well, the format is more like we go to the clinics every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then right after we have an hour break, and then we have to go to a typology lesson. And sometimes, I think it's not always, that the lesson is correlating to what we're doing right now in the clinics or in that period of time. For example, we did respiratory examination in the clinics, and then almost right after, like an hour later, there was a lecture
about
on
respiratory
examination,
I
thought was pretty good, actually.
Do you feel it should be the other way around? What I mean, for example, is maybe you should have the lesson first and then the clinics, or do you think it's okay that way?
That is a good question. Yes and no. I don't think it matters that much. Because I would say go do it, try to do it your best, and then clear out any of the misconceptions you had while doing it with the lecture.
Yeah.
And then do it again. Again and again and again. Yeah.
No, I actually prefer it the other way.
You prefer it the other way.
The reason is sometimes, you know, when I go to the clinic and they drop like a bomb to me, I feel like it's like they just give me a brand new
thing to
topic.
do.
Yeah, like a brand new topic. I have no idea what we're talking about, something like that. And yeah, it's a bit scary sometimes for me. Like, for example, they're gonna ask like, what is this gonna correlate to, like which disease or something like that. Like, we're not prepared to answer to those questions. So I would say I really prefer the other way around, so that I would have, you know, some kind of prior knowledge, so I can like relate to it when I see it. Because when we go to the clinic, most of the time you will see what they have on the patient. Like, the patients will actually have some of the thing you see on the slides.
Yeah.
And like it's just better that way, I feel, really. Because what's the point if like you already saw that and now you got to see the theory, right? I really prefer to have a theory before going into it. What do you think about our professors? Do you think they understand how much we have to do? And
yeah, okay. I think it's very mixed. There are many professors that really do try and help us.
Yeah.
I would usually say it's the ones that know how to speak better English that really try to dial it in and help you a lot.
Yeah.
And then the rest that are not so fluent will often not leave it. And I'm like, okay, here's the slide. You know what the material is. Go look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's like the situation everywhere. Like, there are always like good and bad people everywhere, and we just have to deal with it. But I think generally I would say they're quite helpful. Because the fact that, for example, when we try to study for all the exam, they would like tell us that we can ask them for like anything, things like that. I would say they're helpful. But
yeah, we do have to give them some credit.
I would have to say that they're helpful if you open your mouth and ask them only. They would not go up to you and say, do you need help? No, they're not gonna say that, right? You have to go to them and say, I need help, and then they're gonna help. Or, for example, like you want to have some opportunity in research or clinics, you have to go up to them. You cannot wait for them to offer you something, because they're not gonna do that.
Yeah, they won't do that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you actually something a bit kind of off topic, but what do you think about our classmates? Any impressions on them?
For those who don't know, our class, we have 60 people, something like that, and I think more than half of them are from Cyprus, and we have some Asian, we have some other Europeans, Americans. I would say that our classmates, some of them are seriously very hardworking, and when I see them, I do feel like peer pressure.
Yeah.
Like I legit feel that, oh, I'm not doing enough. When I see how, you know, how they study and
Yeah.
how they, let's say, speak about some certain disease or something like that, I feel like, oh, why don't I know this, and why does she know it, you know?
Mm.
So to be honest, with some of our friends, I do feel a bit peer pressure, but on the bright side, they are also very helpful. Like, I think most of our friends, they're not like trying to compete, honestly. In a way, I do feel like the international people, they're really trying to help, and they, you know, they try to be friendly. They're not gonna try to keep things for themselves.
Mm.
Yeah, so I would say that our classmates are okay. I also did hear some rumors that there are like fights and stuff, like other people fighting, but honestly, I cannot give more shit on that about that. Oh, I have a cat.
You're joined by a special guest.
Yes. Okay, I think she's gonna go. Oh, she's smelling that.
Cat ASMR.
I think she's gonna lie down. Wait.
Oh, she's looking at me.
She's like,
What are you doing? Your cat is very weird.
how about you? What do you feel about our classmate?
Me?
Yeah.
I thought you were asking the cat.
No, I'm asking you.
Yeah, no, I do get that feeling of, I look at them, how hardworking some of them are,
Yeah.
and I can't help but compare myself. I know I shouldn't be comparing myself, but I
Mm.
just cannot help it.
Yeah.
And it comes to a point where I'm like, oh God, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, oh, I'm not doing enough. And yeah, but I guess it depends, because then you see that some people just want to do different things.
Mm.
Keep in mind, no one wants the same thing in medical school. It's actually kind of rare for so many people to want, let's say, the same specialty.
Mm.
There's a very big diversity of what everyone wants.
Yeah.
And some people are not even going to end up in medicine after this.
Yeah. Like for me, sometimes when I see other student, I just feel like, oh, they know how to study, you know, like.
They know what they want, yeah.
And
Or
they're
know.
very like oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just feel, oh, sometimes how do I study this? How do I get all of this in my head? And I can see like other people, they already knew it, something like that.
Yeah.
And not to mention that we also have some people from like the US. They had to do pre-med.
Yeah, they did pre-med, and now they're studying for the USMLE.
Yeah, and like their knowledge is just way better than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I try to not like compare myself to them. But in the same time, I do feel I can I can ask them for help and stuff. They're quite friendly.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind that, of course, in any like class, there might be some kind of, let's say, drama or negativity. But as long as you look the other way, I think you're fine. Do you feel like our classmate create some kind of studying atmosphere about how hardworking they are? Do you think it's like having a good impact on you?
No.
No?
No, I can't agree with that, no. So in every class, you're going to have eventually the different friend groups.
Mm.
But then they go off to study by themselves, or
Yeah.
individuals go off and study by themselves. And there isn't really that kind of cooperation sometimes to, oh yeah, let's all do this, or let's have something where we can give off resources to study.
Mm.
There isn't a lot of that, at least in our class. Maybe in the lower years there are.
Mm. You know where we can have that studying atmosphere?
Right.
The library.
Actually, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The library
like,
is very
I feel
nice.
every time if I go to the library,
Mm-hmm.
I feel I'm in the zone, you know. I'm in the zone.
Yeah.
Like when I'm there, I would just like try to study and like everyone else does. But if I'm home, maybe I'll just, you know, watch movie and eat.
It's a bit ironic. The last few days I've been doing the opposite.
Yeah.
Because I don't really go to the library to study. I mean, it feels a bit, I don't know. But I usually go to cafes.
Mm.
And but I've been trying to really dial it in at home.
Mm.
that my desk is for working, nothing else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Like, I did hear about somebody told me that in your house or whatever, you should have like dedicated space for something that is not like with anything else. For example, your desk is for work only, work only, and maybe another desk is only for study, for example.
Yeah.
Or bed is only for sleeping and nothing else. Like you shouldn't mix it. Like for example, my desk, I shouldn't mix it with work and study. Like that's not gonna be okay. Yeah. It's good for you. How about Greek language? What do you think about? Wait, actually, I want to add something on the library. You know, I have a friend who told me, like, when you go to the library, if you're a girl and you're pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guys are gonna try to.
A lot of guys will try to hit on you.
Yeah. Okay, in the library in our school, you're not allowed to talk very loud. So they're gonna try to some like Greek guys gonna try to send you some notes with like their Instagram or like, oh, you're so pretty, what's your Instagram or something like that. Yeah, just keep that in mind. Oh, actually, it also happens in Leslie as well. There will be people in library maybe asking you like, where are you from, you're so pretty, something like that. Don't be offended, they're friendly. How about Greek language?
Greek, I've been coming to a point where, so we weren't supposed to have Greek in our third year.
In the third year.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to have it as a subject that was mandatory. But I've kind of gotten used to it at this point. Yeah. And now I've made it a habit of every Sunday night, I do the Greek homework. I sit down, relax, I put some lo-fi on, and I do the Greek homework. And it's become very enjoyable.
Yeah. Tell them the full story of like how we got here. Like let me tell them then. So in the end of the second year, we were told that in the third year we will not have Greek anymore for the higher level. Nick and I are in the higher level class. You will have two class for Greek. One is like B1, the other one is like C1. So basically for the higher level, which is us, you're not supposed to have it in the third year. But in the beginning of the third year, we were told that we will have Greek, even though we understood that after the second year we wouldn't have it anymore. So that's a shame. I mean, I think Greek to study Greek is very helpful because eventually you're gonna need to be able to speak Greek to patients and to communicate with doctors as well. But
yeah, I do. Sorry, I want to make a quick side note. The school really underestimates how much Greek you're really supposed to know.
Yes, I think I think we are like the experiment for them as well.
We are the experiment, and when we were thrown into the clinics, we realized just how much Greek we really needed to know.
Yeah.
Because for the 2 years before that, it's like, oh yeah, we can help you with the English. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not.
It's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
You need to know Greek.
A lot of Greek.
Quite a proficient amount. At least B2 to C1. At least, I would say.
No, I wouldn't say B2 or C1. You need to be able to speak.
Or to speak.
Yeah, I mean like B2, C1, that doesn't make a difference if you can't speak, right? So yeah, you need to be able to speak, to listen to patients who are wearing oxygen masks as well. That is not an easy task, I would say.
Some patients can barely even speak.
Yeah.
And you really need to try and listen to them. And they're always speaking Greek, so...
Yeah, that's gonna be a huge deal. So anyone who's coming here, keep in mind that you have to study Greek. Like, in the first year, do nothing but study Greek, seriously. Do nothing, just study Greek. Yeah, I really need to stress that.
Let me ask you one more question. Could you describe the format of the exams, like how they're executed, how we do them, when they are?
I actually really enjoy taking the exam in our school. the biggest reason is it's like they always give you a second chance. What I mean is like when if we fail an exam, most of the time it's a multiple choice. If you fail an exam like in the end of the semester, you're allowed to take it again in September without, let's say, studying the exam again or without paying again. Why am I mentioning this? It is because in Vietnam, where I come from, in order, when you fail a subject, first of all, you have to pay to study again. You have to study again, really? And then you take the exam again. So it's like if you fail it, you're dead, or if you fail it, it's gonna take you time and money, and like if you fail it, you have to attend all the lectures again. You know, really? All the lectures again.
Okay, yeah, it's not like that here.
Yeah, in Vietnam it is like that, and it's not funny. And like if you don't go to the lecture, of course they're gonna fail you anyway. Like attendance in Vietnam is a thing. So I really enjoy the fact that they give us the September exam period, which is like a second chance for us. I hope they're not listening to this to try to make money from this. You know, this shouldn't be an idea. If you do this, I'm gonna kill you. But yeah, I really like it. And more about our exam. For some subjects with lab, you will need to do a lab exam sometimes. The lab exam will be the question from the materials from the lab, which is not difficult, but you still have to study. The main exam is usually from everything you learn from the semester. I would say that the difficulty of the exam is fair, as long as you study up to a point. For some subject, such as biochem, the format is a bit different. You will have multiple choices, and you will have some like short answer question, where you have to describe type in something. But again, if you study, it's not difficult. So I would say that the exam, it's good, and it's not something that you should be so worried about. Yeah. And I also heard that people here in Greece, they actually do the exam like strategically. What I mean is like they intentionally fail some exam like in the February period to retake it in September, because the volume, of medical school is a lot. So they could leave like 1 or 2 subjects left for September exam and try to pass it. And in order to pass, you need at least 50% from all the exams combined. It's I would say that in order to pass, it's not difficult, but if you want it to be perfect, it's impossible. Don't try.
Yeah.
Don't stress out in terms of exam. Try to clear everything of a school year by September. The reason is, if you leave it until next year, you're gonna have other subjects, right? And then the subject that you owe, it's gonna be more difficult because you were not actually studying for it, and you just don't remember much. And when you study it again, you feel like you don't have any motivation. So seriously, don't leave anything like after September from your school year. That is not very healthy, to be honest. Okay, so to finish this episode, any message for whoever who wants to come here?
Yeah, I'd like to say that it's okay to take a break. You can decompress for a while. You don't have to be super stressed at the fact that you're in medical school. Yeah, okay, it is medical school. There's a lot of material, and you really need to know what you're doing, especially when you're learning a second language, which is pretty difficult. Some advice for learning the Greek along with everything else.
Yeah.
Just try and speak.
Yeah, just
try and speak to everyone.
Yeah, that's gonna help a lot.
Yeah, that's really what's gonna push you ahead in the hospitals later.